Right now.
Do you want to go first?
You mean like as the therapist? or-
Yeah.
Sure. Alrighty, welcome back to our session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Good. Anything interesting happened within the past couple of weeks?
I had Thanksgiving with my family, so that was good.
Oh, that's really nice. With them being a close-knit circle that you have, I feel like you were definitely at home at the time.
Yeah, it was great.
Nice. Were you able to communicate well with them? Or perfect. All right. Anything else interesting that happened?
Not really.
Perfect. All right, no problem. Then in that case, we'll just jump right into things. So I noticed before you did, we did set up a couple of plans in terms of you being able to socialize more with your classes. I believe one of which was being introduced into the art club, another of which being just being more social within your classes. Was there one more, or were there just those two?
Just those two.
Already, no problem then. Oh, I think the other one was probably just looking out for other leisures
Opportunities,
or
yeah.
yes, perfect. So if you don't mind telling me how things went with the art club starting off.
Yeah, I actually joined it. It's been really fun so far. I met one friend and I've been having a good time. There's nothing really in the club that makes me nervous. And when I see those members in school outside the club, it makes me feel a little bit better.
That's perfect. I'm glad to see that we're taking it. This is like a huge step forward from where we first began, or even like 2 weeks ago, because of course, like you were able to talk to some people, but at the same time, the social anxiety was still there for you.
Yeah.
So that is absolute music to my ears. I'm happy to hear that for you. When you first went into the club room, if you don't mind me asking, how did that, tell me, if you can tell me just like play by play, how like the atmosphere was, how they greeted you.
Yeah, they were actually really open. I was a little nervous just because I felt before that no one in the school was really that open to new people, but when they came in, they welcomed me, and the teacher was really nice.
That's
And
perfect.
the rest of the kids in the club just were happy to have more people there. So it was really great.
Nice.
I was surprised.
And then with this art club, did they tend to do the sort of like practices that you're like used to in terms of like maybe like painting or with crafts or things like that? Or was it just
Yeah,
was
it's
it
kind of like
anything
anything you want to do, you have access to. So I
nice?
was able to kind of like get introduced to some newer things and do some things that I've already done before. So.
That's wonderful. And this new friend, I would like to know a little bit more about them if you have.
Her name is Molly, and she's the same age as me, and she's lived in this area her whole life. So she's really been great about introducing me to new places that I haven't been before. And she has some other friends that we're planning on meeting up with later in the week. So I'm excited to meet them, and hopefully that they like me too, and I can have a group.
It sounds like you're getting that much closer to having your own like close tied circle, like or like, yeah, that would be the perfect way to describe it. That is wonderful. We're making strides. I will be honest, as someone who has also suffered from such things as social anxiety, being introduced to new environments, being a sort of fish out of water, just hearing that you're able to take these steps forward, like this is astounding. This is amazing progress, like something that I wouldn't really see with other of my clients. So words cannot, I keep saying this, but words cannot describe how happy I am for you right now.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And then in terms of socializing with in class, because you do have your close-knit circle with extracurricular activities, but in terms of your class system in itself, how has that been going for you?
Well, I don't have Molly in any of my classes, but I do see her at lunch and in the hallway and stuff.
That's good.
But I think that I'm just less nervous now being in the class, so I've been able to focus a little bit better. I still am like, I'm struggling like speaking up in class and participating a little bit just because I do have some nerves on that. I still feel like people don't like me. But I think it's getting better. And I think the more people that I meet, and maybe if I put myself out there, then maybe I will do better.
That makes sense. I mean, of course, we're making progress right now, and there's still going to be moments where you're going to suffer with some situation, especially in terms of social anxiety. And what we need to acknowledge is that progress isn't necessarily a narrow or linear path. So, like as you've gone up before, or it has been a little bit rocky here and there, those things are normal. Try not to be too hard on yourself when you're not able to speak up too much in class, or when your mind tends to make you feel as though you're pretty much like the unpopular kid or anything like that. Because the fact that you already made friends with Molly and getting this group, you're going to be in this inner group, that's already really good. So just got to take some time, acknowledge what we do have in this moment, and continue working forward, see what we can do with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Now, I do want to go back into what you said with you feel that there are people that don't really feel like people don't like you. Are these things that are evident, that are being shown throughout the classroom, or is it something more that's like your mind is just running laps and thinking, oh, I'm still new here. The people just hate me because they just hate me.
I think it's more in my head, I think, but I don't know, I'm like kind of the last to be included if it's a group work or something, but I think that also I could realize that maybe that's just because they don't know me as well. So I think most of it's just me, but I feel those feelings that are getting better.
That's really good. If you were to rate your social anxiety before compared to now, how would you rate it now on a scale of like 1 to 10? 10 being like, let's say 10 being on a really positive note, and then if 1, it's you feel like still like a fish out of water.
I would say like a 5 or 6.
Or 6. That's not too bad. Before it was like a 2 to
Yeah.
3 perhaps.
Yeah.
So again, that's really we're definitely progressing forward. And with due time and effort, moving up from there. Gotcha. We'll be able to just continue making those strides, and potentially you'll be a social butterfly in little to no time.
I hope so. I definitely want to keep going with the art club and making sure that I put the work and put myself out there rather than just have people come to me.
I mean, and I get that everyone wants that sort of desire to have things brought to them rather than continue to like search hard for it. But I mean, if it were easy, everyone would do it. So I mean, just keep doing what you can, and so far with what you've been doing, you'll be all right. By any chance, you know what?
We have like
6. Okay. Alrighty, and then let's go about our SMART goals. As of right now, you successfully completed the first one in terms of getting assessed into this art club because you've been accepted. You have a new friend, and you did it within the 2 weeks that we've had provided, so we don't have to really go forward with that. It was definitely achievable, relevant, and again, time managed. So that's really good. In terms of your class experience, you're just being more sociable there. Do you think you would want to extend that time period? Because I did realize you are struggling a bit in that regard.
Yeah, I think I'll just continue just to try. I think that I don't know if it's gonna happen right away, but I think in time it will.
Okay, not a problem. So I'd say with your homework, because unfortunately, unless you would like to come back, this would be considered our last meeting. So for a homework assignment, I would probably recommend that you just take some time to reassess this SMART goal of being more social in class. Maybe extend your time period. If we need to specify it, then go about that. You just plan it all out from there, and then we'll get our ducks in a row.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
All right, it's a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Now, I'll go. I'm just gonna set this, it's at 10 minutes, so if I go over that, I know where I'm at.
Okay, not a problem.
Sorry, I should have told you what I was setting it for.
Did you set it for 10 minutes or 15?
10.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right. Hi, Levi, how are you doing today?
Compared to the last meeting, I'd say things have been looking up from it.
Oh, I'm really great to hear that. Did you have a good weekend? Did you celebrate the holiday at all with your foster family?
Not quite. I'm still very disconnected from them.
Okay.
Though I did manage to take my sister for some early Christmas shopping during Black Friday.
That's
Ended up
amazing.
getting her, and unfortunately, she already knows what I have gotten her for Christmas, so I just let her get the present. It was this cute little like stuffed animal. It wasn't like a teddy bear or a rabbit or anything like that. It was like this weird like fairy tale like cat. It was not something that I would suspect a usual prepubescent girl to want to get, but you know what? Like I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I mean, kids' toys these days are different than that you were used to when you were growing up, so they're definitely funny. But
Tell
I'm
me
glad-
about it, even though I'm like 6 years older than her.
Yeah, I'm glad that you made that work though, and you got to spend that time with your sister over the holiday.
Thank you.
So I do want to just preface this meeting by saying that this is our last session. So we're kind of going to go through our feelings on it and on ending it and what we kind of work we've been doing throughout these past ones. I'm going to start with the goals that we set before in the earlier sessions. First one being the applied housing for aging out of the foster system. Did you get that application in? And what are we looking at there?
Okay, so I did make a couple of calls. The ones that I definitely had an eye out for weren't too willing of me for some reason. I think it was due to at the time I was unemployed, so
Okay.
they needed at least some sort of like payment to be able to have me to be accepted into the program. But I did find one that was not of the best quality, but at the same time, like I was able to make do with like maybe they offered a very small studio apartment. It was kind of like the kitchen and the living room were in the same area, and then like a separate room from the beds. So I mean, it was enough. It's enough for me to be able to like do my basic cooking, cleaning, as well as just recreational activities.
Okay.
So I mean,
Did you get that apartment or are you still looking?
no, I managed to get accepted.
That's so great to hear. You mentioned before that one of the places for housing you couldn't get because you didn't have employment yet. Does that mean that another one of our goals have passed and you found a job?
That would be correct, yes.
I'm so glad to hear. Great
Thank
job,
you.
Levi.
It's not the greatest of jobs. I did end up, as much as I really was reluctant to get the position, it was for a fry cook.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at this very, dare I say, cheap restaurant. It's kind of similar to like a Denny's or an Arby's, I guess.
Okay.
But I mean, it pays, and
Yeah.
that with the amount that I'll be getting, it should be enough for me to be able to sustain with this studio apartment.
Great. That is so good to hear. The first jobs that we get are, I feel like, never our dream job. Maybe your dream job will end up being a fry cook. You never know.
I would doubt that. I highly doubt.
You do have to start somewhere. I'm really proud of you that you got that in. All those goals that we set then, you have made happen. And I just want to kind of talk to you about how you felt in the beginning coming into these sessions with kind of your feelings and feeling kind of overwhelmed by it all and thought that you kind of couldn't do it and that your main focus was just your sister. So how do you feel now with having the place and having the job? How overwhelming does all that feel?
I would say it's a bit more convenient because now I don't necessarily have to risk breaking any laws to be able to protect her. Because before it was just like with the system and the fact that nobody really wants an orphan or foster kid around, it really makes you feel as though the world is just completely against you.
Yeah.
The last thing I would want it to do would be to take or hurt anyone else in order to protect my own. But when you have little to no options presented in front of you, it's not really much else you can really do.
Yeah, and now that you do have some options, you have a job and a place to stay, do you feel that you're in a better place to eventually get your sister where you wanted her to be and safe in her environment?
It's gonna take some work. The studio apartment that I managed to get, which is why I wasn't really looking too much into it before. It's not in the best environment, but I mean, there's a roof over my head, so I mean, that's.
And you're putting you first is the priority, which I think is, we talked about that being how we get where we want to be eventually. It's by putting those in your needs specifically first. So do you feel that you're better prepared now and like not as overwhelmed by the fact that you are aged out of the system and that the state isn't necessarily supporting you in ways of having a foster parent?
In a way, yes, because I mean, I have sort of the necessities, or at least the bare necessities of being able to survive on my own. And with enough time, management, of course, money, because I still need my own way of transportation. I'm currently taking the bus.
Okay.
I think I'll be able to maybe convince the federal system to allow me to be able to take my sister
Okay, in time, yeah. Well, that sounds great. That sounds like a great goal to get to and to keep working on what you're working on, like with your job and saving up your money, supporting yourself, because that's a new thing. I know that maybe emotionally or in the family, you kind of felt as if you were on your own before, but now that you are on your own in your own home, does that feel scary to you at all? Or do you feel safer?
I mean, in a way, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, it kind of feels the same,
Okay.
if not a little bit better,
Okay.
because it's always been me and her. It's always just been us two against the foster system, the world, just, we kind of ended up being these misfits that not even a foster system would really want, and it wasn't even our fault. So with the ball kind of being in my court and being able to make these moves and decisions, it's needless to say, it's done a lot on there.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And you did that. You made those choices and that you put your applications out there and you got the job and you got the house. And I'm just really proud of all the work that you've done. And I appreciate your time and your attendance in this and really putting forth the effort, because it could have gone a different way and you might not be where we are today. So you did a really great job of that.
I honestly have none of this, like, as much as I would like to see the credit, this is 100% thanks to you, because before my mind wasn't even set on wanting to do things this way, much like it just wasn't really something that was like feasible for me. But thanks to the connections that you provided to me, I was able to change the trajectory of my life and not have to end up breaking the rules or the laws, or just end up dead because of it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think that we did a great job together and that I could tell you everything that I wanted to tell you, but if you didn't make those choices and you didn't put in the work, you wouldn't have gotten there. So you should be proud of yourself as well. And because this is our last session, I just want to know how you feel about all of it. How you feel about that we're not going to continue to have these meetings. Do you feel as if you're scared?
It's bittersweet
Okay.
because, I mean, the fact that I'm able to be terminated is proof that I may just be ready for all this, but at the same time, it's gonna suck not having a mentor, someone who I'm able to just like rely on like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I totally understand those feelings. The termination process is difficult sometimes. And, you know, I do feel as if that you are ready to go. And if there is some change in heart and change in feeling, then you can absolutely, I can refer you to another service and it can kind of just be counseling, somebody to talk to again, you know, because you definitely don't want to feel alone here. And just because I cannot help you any longer doesn't mean there isn't someone out there that can. And it's a couple of really great referrals. So if you'd be interested, I can also give you that information.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing this with me. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm so excited for this next chapter of your life.
So, thank you.
Good meeting with you.
Good job, guys.